welcome to WRPB and WRPB Studios. You know, it's really interesting. Any of you guys who've been through my studio know that we did a renovation, and one of the issues is if you don't use a professional, I always say it, it's going to cost you 5 times more in the long run and 10 times more in aggravation. Well, if you've been through the studio and you had to fill out paperwork in the green room, you'll notice the floor is all whacked out. So I brought somebody who has a lot more knowledge about this than I do, and surely a lot more knowledge than the gentleman who did the floors in this place. With me is Michael from Mac Flooring Installation and Repair.
Yes, sir.
I get it right?
Yes, sir.
I tried to put that early so I don't forget. Okay, so I have to add, you were in the green room. We're going to talk about that in a minute. Okay? Well, that expression says it all.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so why'd you get into this?
Well, I was kind of forced into it a little bit. I kind of went to work for a guy in California, and I just enjoyed what we did, and I moved home, and I went to work for another company in Vero Beach, and I was just a natural, and I excelled at it, and he suggested that I go out on my own, and I went on my own, and it worked.
How long are you in the industry?
I've been doing this now for about 15 years.
Wow. Okay, so here's my question. When it comes to this, has there been a lot of changes in the industry since you started?
Oh, goodness, yes. Yes. Things have went from, the trends change almost every 5 or 6 years, but since 15 years ago, we went more towards, I used to be a wood guy, now I'm more so a plastic guy with the LVT, and we've seen that go from just a thin piece of plastic now to an engineered stone core, rigid core. There's all kinds of different cores, and waterproof flooring was never heard of until 6 or 7 years ago. Now it's almost expected.
Yeah, I mean, you never know what's going to happen on the floor, especially if you're entertaining. People spill stuff and drop stuff. Do you just do like that kind of work, or do you do carpeting? Do you do that stuff too, or not?
We do carpeting. We do hardwood. We do tile. We do just about every flooring that's out there.
Right.
A lot of it has kind of shied away. Right now, the hot stuff is of the LVT, hardwoods. Carpet's starting to come back in a little bit as the economy's kind of, went back to saving our money a little bit.
Yeah, carpeting is less expensive.
Yes, sir.
You know, it's interesting because I come from up north, and you had to have carpeting because there's nothing worse than waking up in the morning and putting your feet down on an ice cold floor. We don't have that here, so it's a little different. But what I was curious is, we have a lot of heat here.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and especially recently, we've had a ton of heat. Okay, so how does the flooring, like, let's just take a ranch.
Okay.
Okay, does the flooring help with keeping? Because everything here, there's no basements, so everything is built on basically concrete.
Yes, sir.
Does it help keep the moisture out? Less for lack of a better word, less humidity in the house?
If you do it right, yes, it does. Because they have underlayments that are moisture barriers. They also add a little acoustical, what is the word I'm looking for?
So those barriers,
value.
Right?
Yeah.
So those barriers keep moisture out.
Yes, sir.
And so then, if you live in a townhouse, in a condo, and you're on the second floor, if it has acoustical value, then you might not hear, the people downstairs might not hear you. Like,
well, if you're in a condo and you're on the second floor, it's actually required by the state.
Is it?
Yes, sir. You have to have the acoustical padding. And if you're sandwiched between a third floor and a first floor, you actually have to go up the walls 2 inches behind the baseboard so the sound doesn't travel up the walls to them or down the walls to your neighbors beneath you.
You know, that's interesting because I have a condo that we rent out. I lived there for a while, and it was the second floor. And the first floor tenants would always complain that, it sounds like you're running, No, it was just me. Actually, even prior to that was my mom, who was in her 80s. So she wasn't running anywhere.
Right.
Okay? And yet, the sound seems to have traveled through. is there ways to avoid even more than what's required?
You can beef up the padding a little bit, but you can only do so much.
Right.
You're really just going to deaden the sound so much, but you can't really get rid of it completely.
Okay.
There's really no way to do that unless you're spraying like close-cell foam between the layers. That would have to be something they do during building the building itself.
Right, because I think if you do that, if you rip up a floor onto concrete. Now, if you're in a condo, between the first and second floor, is there concrete also?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so basically you're going to lay a floor over concrete in some fashion.
Yes, sir.
Do you put like plywood down, or do you just go right over? Can you just go right over the concrete?
Well, we go right over concrete, but we always put like a 6 millimeter visqueen between the layers, and that's the moisture barrier first, and then we have the padding also, and a lot of times that flooring, especially at second level, is wavy and it's not flat. So we go through with some self-leveler and we flatten it out also. So that adds a little more, of acoustical value to it also.
So you were in my green room,
Yes, sir.
okay, and they laid the floor, and it seems like hills and valleys.
Yes, sir.
Why does that happen?
To me, it looks like there's a moisture issue. It looks like that floor is either gotten hot and then got really cold and contracted also. That it just needs to come out. That's what's wrong with it.
So, in your opinion, that section of the floor has to totally come out.
Yes, sir.
So it's really not fixed. It really needs to be relayed. A new floor needs to be relayed in that spot.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this was done. Let's see, about 5-6 years ago.
Okay.
How long do those floors usually last, if they're done right?
If they're done right, okay, if you install it to manufacturer specs, you should be able to honor the manufacturer warranty. And a lot of times they'll say right on the product, some of them are 25-year warranties and some of them are lifetime warranties. But when it's not installed right, anything can happen.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting because throughout the rest of the building where that flooring is, it doesn't have those issues. It just has those issues in that one room.
And, well, I also would have to see what's underneath it. The subfloor and the floor prep means everything.
Oh, I know what's underneath it now.
What's that?
This used to be a doctor's office, so it has I guess, could be vinyl or asbestos red and white tiles.
Okay.
The
The VCT?
Okay.
That's what they call it.
Okay. So VCT.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So that was pretty level and flat. That's why I didn't think that it would have an issue like it has.
Like I said, I wouldn't know unless I pulled it up. That's the issue with flooring. We don't have X-ray vision. We can't see through the floor to know what's going on a lot of times. So when I give someone a quote, I always have to have a little wiggle room for some unforeseen floor prep.
Mess.
Yeah, you never know.
Right.
And nobody likes surprises. But I mean, that's some of the fun of my job. I don't really know what I'm getting into until I pull the floor up.
Okay. Now that's a nightmare. But if it only had one spot that was coming up, like a hill and a valley, one spot, can it be fixed without repairing the whole floor?
It depends on the product.
Okay.
And how the locking mechanisms are, and who you call. I mean, I can do it. A lot of guys say that you have to take LVT. That's a luxury on a plank in there, and then you have to pull it all the way up to that plank, and then relay it back down. I have a method where I can pull boards right out of the middle of the floor and put them right back down like it never happened.
Wow.
Right.
So time goes by, things change. I'm in the technology space, and things change here constantly with different products and different ways to use the products. Do you have the same issue?
Oh, yes, sir. Like, things change all the time. I'm always reading up on new stuff coming out, the trends that are hot right now, and then some of the stuff that's going out. A lot of times, like, they've had problems with off-gassing with some products. They didn't know that was going to happen until the floor has been sold for 2 years. And then they address that issue, and they make adjustments, and something new comes out. Like I said before, waterproof was unheard of. Now it's expected, so everybody just automatically assumes the floor they're buying is going to be waterproof, which a lot of people don't read the fine print, and some of it is water-resistant, which isn't the same as waterproof.
We get that. I was in the optical industry for a while, and people don't understand scratch resistant.
Right.
Okay, that means it's resistant to most scratches, but that doesn't mean it won't scratch.
Right.
Same thing with a watch. Water resistant, not waterproof.
Right.
Totally different. All right, so Mary decides she has her living room and she wants to lay down flooring.
Okay.
All right, so she has carpeting now. She calls you up. Does she go purchase the flooring herself, or do you work with her on that? How does that work?
Well, first thing we have to do is we have to find out exactly what Mary's lifestyle is and what kind of flooring she's looking for. I do not personally sell flooring, but I will assist you in purchasing your flooring because I get a discount at most places. I buy so much flooring, and I pass that on to my customers so they can save some money on the product. That way, they can afford a quality installation.
Okay, so one of the issues I had when I did my home is I bought flooring, but I did 1,300 square feet. And it was a pain to carry that stuff to the house.
Mm.
So I had to rent a truck and the whole 9 yards. So would you go with Mary to the place so you can guide her in what she's buying?
Oh, yes, sir. And then I work with a couple companies, and their managers know what I will lay down, what I won't lay down, and they will also help her find what she's looking for. And then all Mary would do was tell me what flooring she liked, and I would get a material list together for her. I would submit that to the company we're buying it from, and she would go home, and I would pick it up, deliver it. She's done at that point.
So you're going to do all the measuring and stuff like that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so right now we're sitting in a room that's pretty square. What about rooms that have a bunch of cutouts and stuff? Is that much more difficult to lay flooring?
I wouldn't say difficult. It's a little more fun. Yeah,
This is like a puzzle to you?
Yeah, I love it. I breeze right through it. It just depends where it's at. Like the angles and stuff aren't a big deal. Going into other rooms is a little tricky. Hallways with lots of doorways are a lot of fun. It just for the mediocre installer, like your journeyman apprentice or something, they may struggle with it. But I look at it as a challenge and it's fun.
What about the transitions that you have to make from room to room?
Well, a lot of times I like to go seamless. If you're going with a product that, warrants that, you can go right through to the rooms. I don't like those plastic transitions between the rooms, so I steer away from them. There's a new product out that I call it floor jewelry. It's different colored metals and stuff, and it looks a lot better. It's more classy. A lot of guys, even like front doors, back doors, they use those end caps and stuff, and I find there's a lot of problems with those. Most of my callbacks are because of those.
Really?
Yes, sir.
Interesting. Okay, your clientele, commercial, residential?
Residential for the most part.
Okay.
There's a couple like industrial, but commercial work, no, sir.
Don't do much. Do you not get calls for it, or you just don't want to do it?
My father was in commercial construction.
Okay.
And I don't like the pay schedule. I don't like dealing with contractors and working with 5 or 6 different trades on the job. I like residential because I like to meet new people in the neighborhood. The homeowners end up becoming friends of mine. I build relationships with them, and it's a good time. I mean,
I hear you. All right, we got to top of our time. How do people find you? You have a phone number?
yes, I do. 772-277-3534.
And you can be found on Facebook?
I can be found on Facebook, Instagram, all this fun social media. If it's facebook.com/Floors by Michael is my business page. And then usually ask your neighbor. I've probably floored their house. And I can give you my number.
Everybody, again, you need to use a professional. It's going to be a nightmare if you don't. Trust me when I tell you. Check Michael out, and we'll be right back. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you so much.